Hello all and welcome to... Hi guys, let's try this again. Welcome back. I hope you all had a nice spring break, a little bit of a chance to relax and get away from the school routine. So what we are starting today is law of sines, and this is something that all of you have seen in geometry, maybe in algebra 2 a little bit, definitely geometry, and that we're going to spend a few days working on. So what it says is you'll be able to use law of sines to solve for triangles. So far, most of what we've dealt with have all been in right triangles. Now, what happens when you don't have a right triangle? Because you won't always. So the law of sines states that the ratio of the sine of an angle to the length of its opposite side is the same for all three angles. So what does this mean? So you see down here, it says law of sines in the box. It says sine of angle A divided by A is equal to sine of angle B divided by B, sine of angle C over C. So here's what you need to understand about the naming for this one. So if we have a triangle, and I'll call it triangle ABC, now you name the angles with uppercase letters, and then say I'm talking about angle A, the side across from that we call lowercase a. Okay, the side across from angle B is lowercase b, side across from angle C is lowercase c. I could also call side C side AB using the points that connect it. You'll see different naming, but that's something you want to understand about this definition. Another thing is that when we're using law of sines, like I said, it will always work for certain non-right triangles. So which non-right triangles are they? So when you are given an angle, a side, and an angle in that order, this is what you are given. You can use law of sines, okay? When you are given an angle, and a side in that order, then you will use law of sines. So it's these two cases we're going to focus on. There is one other case called the ambiguous case, which we're not going to talk about this year. You'll maybe see it next year. It's not that huge of a deal. But typically, you're either going to do law of sines when you see angle, side, angle, or angle, angle, side setup. And we'll talk about what that means and how we're going to use this equation above. So the first example says state the given information. And this is where I want you to state angle, side, angle, 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 side, and solve for P. That way, when we go to do law of cosines and I ask for the given information, everything, you've already mastered it. So we're going to say, what do we have? Well, we have an angle of 17 degrees. We have a side of 12 in between, and then an angle of 29 degrees. So this is angle, side, angle setup. Since it's angle, side, angle, we know we can use law of sines. So the first thing we need to do is solve for P. So we need to solve for side P. Okay, and I'm going to kind of clear out this triangle so that we can see what we're looking for. We are going to solve for side P. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Well, law of sines states we're going to create a proportion, a ratio. So if we're solving for side P, according to the definition of law of sines, we need sine of the angle, say it's angle A, for example, over the opposite side is equal to sine of angle, we'll say B, and it's cutting off there. Let me try that again. So it could be sine of angle B over that opposite side. So if we're solving for side P, we're going to automatically need the angle across from it, which is angle P. Okay, and I'll put them both in red. So our first part of this equation is going to be sine of angle P, which is 17 degrees, is equal to divided by side P. We have to use the side and the angle. Now here's the thing. You can only, in the equation, we're going to set up a proportion, just like you see over here. You have to only have one unknown here. So that means you have to use the other side of this, has to be an angle that's known and the opposite side that's known. Here's the issue. If we look, we have 29 degrees, but we don't know the side across from it, and we're not going to. But if you look, we do know this side right here, side Q, but we don't know angle Q. But we can find angle Q. It's just a triangle. triangles add up to how many degrees? 180. So that means angle Q is going to be 180 minus 17 minus 29, which is just going to equal 134 degrees. Okay, so what does that mean? So sine of 17 over P, and then you need to know the other two, and it has to be the same angle and the opposite side. So angle and its opposite side, which is why we can't use 29 in QP because we don't know that side. But, like I said, I'll clear this off. We do know that we have the side of 12, so we're going to use the given side, and we can find angle Q across from it. So it'll be sine of angle Q, which we found to be 134, over the side opposite angle Q. So you can only plug an angle into the sine function. You can't plug in, a side length. So make sure you check that. So now how do we solve a proportion? We are going to multiply. So this is when you need your calculator. I told you all how to find the sine function in class. If you need help, you can also just Google on your calculator how to find the sine function. But I did teach you how to find it, or you can use a computer calculator to find it. But you're just going to cross multiply. So it'll be 12 times sine of 17 degrees equals P times sine of 134 degrees. And I didn't do this until the end, but you can just figure out what all those decimals are if you want, and then get P alone by dividing by sine of 134, or the decimal you found that to be. Okay, that'll cancel. So at the end of the day, if you do 12 sine of 17 degrees divided by sine of 134, you will end up getting that P is about 4.877. And remember, that's the side length. You were trying to find a side length. We're going to use law of sines in this section to find side lengths. You can use it for angles, but in this case, it's just side lengths. Okay? Okay, let's look at another one. So next one, what is this setup? What are we solving for? Well, we're solving for x. We're going to state the given information. So we're given an angle, a side, and an angle in that order. So this is angle, side, angle, which means we're going to use law of sines. From the get-go, what would I do? Whenever you're using law of sines, you're going to be given two angles. So find the third angle, you're probably going to need it. So if I find the third angle, 180 minus 50 minus 57, I get that my third angle is going to be 73 degrees. Okay? Just like the last one, you're most likely going to need it, might as well find it. So now that we have that, we're going to say, okay, I want to find x, which means I need to use the angle across from x. So my first piece of this is going to be sine of my angle, 50 degrees, over x, because they're opposite one another, right? And then I need to use an angle and a side that I have both. I have the angle and I have the opposite side. I do not know the angle across, the side across from angle A, side A. I do not know that. Do you see that there's nothing here? So that means that I can't use that. So what am I left with? Well, let's clear this off again. We already know we're using x and 50. So those two are out, so we know we're using x and 50. We can't use 57 degrees because we don't know the side across from it. But we did find angle C to be 73 degrees, and we know the side across from that. So we're going to have sine of 73 degrees over 6. And if you guys get confused at all, you can ask me any questions. You can also find a lot of great videos on Khan Academy or online for law of sines. It's very common that people make videos for this. So you can go look at that or some worked out examples. And what are you going to do? You're just going to cross multiply like we did. So we'll get 6 times the sine of 50 degrees equals x times sine of 73 degrees. And then we're going to divide and get x alone. Like I said, if you want to find out the decimal for sine of 50 and sine of 73 and do it that way, that's perfectly fine. At the end of the day, you'll get x is about 4.806. And I don't tell you how to round here. On your homework, I may specify But if I don't, just give me 2 decimal places is fine, 1 or 2. Okay? And if you have any questions, make sure you're asking me. Make sure you're watching these videos. They're going to help you so much when you get to test and quiz and things. And for our final example that we're probably going to look at. For some reason, the page was cutting off here, guys, so you can ignore this picture at the left here. And we're just going to focus on the triangle it's given. So the difference with these is I am asking you to now solve the triangle. What solving the triangle means is you are going to find, so solve the triangle means find all missing sides and angles. When you're dealing with law of sine, the angles are easy because you're given 2 angles. Like right now, if I look at this, I have angle, side angle set up. So to find that third angle, I could just subtract from 180. 180 minus 110 minus 20. So I get that my third angle is just going to be 50. And we've been doing this the whole time. Okay? So again, we're solving the triangle now. So we need to solve for 2 missing sides and an angle. We already found the angle that we're missing. I don't care if you want to mark it, circle it, however you want to do it. So I'll say measure of angle C equals 50 degrees. That's the first thing I needed to find. Okay? Now let's move on to the rest. So we need to solve for side A. You can see little side A and little side B. You cannot solve for both at the same time. So it's best to just pick one. And it really doesn't matter which one. So I have my 50 degrees. I'm going to just start with A. So if I'm solving for A, that means I need to use angle A. So my first part of this equation is going to be sine of angle A, which is 110 degrees, divided by side A, which I'm trying to find. And then I need to use the side and the angle that are opposite each other that are both given. I do not know side B, so I can't use angle B. But I do know side C, and I found angle C. Those are my given, those are what I'm going to use. So it would be sine of 50 degrees over 25. Remember, you're only putting an angle into the sine function. We're going to cross multiply, solve. And if you solve that, you cross multiply, make sure you show out your work, you'll get 30.67. Okay? So that's side A. Now you have a choice here. What's nice is you can keep the right side of the equation exactly the same and just change, for it to say side B and angle B on the left. Or you could use side A, so sine of 110 over the side you found. But like I always say in class, if your side A that you found is wrong, then your side B will also be wrong. So I recommend just using the given side and angle. So I'm going to use the 25 and the 50 again. So sine of 50 degrees over 25. What's nice in these problems is you can use the same right side every time, and then just change the side that I'm trying to find. So what am I trying to find? Now let me clear this out. I'm trying to find side B, and I know angle B is across from it. So I'm going to have sine of 20 degrees over side B. And I'm going to cross multiply and solve. And if I do this, I will get B is 11.16. Now here's the thing, there's no good way to do this. You can't do Pythagorean theorem, check it, because they're not 90-degree angles, right triangles. But what you can do is you can look at it and see if it makes sense. If we look at our triangle in the beginning that we have here, we'll see that 110 is the largest angle, and side A is across from that. So since 110 is the largest angle, side A should be the largest side. And it is. It's 30.67. Whereas angle B is a super tiny angle. So across from that, side B should be decently small, 11.16. And then of course, the angle C is 50. That's kind of in between 110 and 20. So the side length of 25 should be in between sides A and B, which it is. So it's not a perfect science to checking yourself, but it will definitely help you. Okay, so I showed you a few ways to use law of sines. On your homework, you have 3 problems tonight, and you're going to do a practice worksheet tomorrow. That is, it's just, give me the setup, but you are solving the triangle. So you are doing what we did in this example. So you're going to find the third angle, find the other two sides that are given, okay? If you look, there is one more example of me solving the triangle on your notes. Remember, I post those notes worked out. It's almost like a you try problem. So you can go and look. You can try it on your own and then go and check my worked out solutions. And all of those worked out solutions are online for you to access. This is all on marking period 4, guys. So make sure you're staying with me. And we're going to finish this year, whether we're at home or we're in school. We're going to do it the same way as always. And if you guys need anything at all or you want to communicate anything with me, make sure to contact me. Okay? So make sure you're using all your resources, use online, use calculators, and use me for what you need. Have an awesome day, guys.